Welcome to NQ Ninja, where we'll be discussing the charts from January 8th. And actually, what I saw today was exactly what I called out yesterday in the video. So let's kind of talk about that. So I mentioned all this week this wedge, right? And so we're still in this wedge. We're still looking like we're just staying in the wedge, right? We haven't broken out. We had a fake out on yesterday. So on Wednesday, we had a fake out. And then today, we actually broke back into the wedge and we fell below this trend line I actually drew on the charts. So I'm going to go down into the lower time frames to show you this, but I just want to show you that on the higher time frame, we actually still are kind of tightening this wedge, if you will, for a larger move. Now, once we break out of this wedge, we will get a larger move. It will take several days for that to take place, but it's something to kind of be mindful of. So if you do play options, that's something you could play. I don't play options. I only play futures, NASDAQ. So let's just kind of look at this. So from the 30-minute, let's go ahead and just zoom in, and I'll show you kind of what I'm seeing. So everything you see on this chart is actually what I had before the day started, okay? So these zones, this trend line, I had all this stuff on the charts prior to any type of move that happened today. And I want to show you how much these zones were respected over time. So you can see since January 4th, we've had this trend where we've broke up. And I did talk about yesterday at the end of the video, if we break below this trend line, we are probably going to get a move to the downside, probably to 670s. And if we break 670s, we're actually going to go down to the 600s level. And that's exactly what we did. Now, I didn't call out those numbers in the video. I am part of a Discord, and I did call that in the Discord today. But just note that these were two levels to think through. If we ended up breaking through that particular level, right? If we broke this of sorts, what I would say is we would break down and probably come down to around here. So probably around 4.6. So that's a large move. I'm not going to talk about that, but nevertheless, we did hit those levels. So this morning, we did break below this trend. So let me kind of zoom a little bit further in, and let's look at the 5-minute. So 5-minute and the 2-minute are my bread and butter. So let's just kind of talk about this, okay? So this morning, we did have this structure right here, right? So we kind of built this cup, and we came down on this cup, and we actually continued down more off of that particular cup. So what I saw this morning was on the 5-minute, let me kind of zoom in a little bit more here so we can see it right here, and I'm going to pull it up. So what I was seeing is on the 5, we're at the top of this wedge, and we're getting all sorts of wicks, right? All these candles that are in here, and we just can't get higher, okay? So at 9:10, I noticed that we got really close. I was thinking about a potential long here, but the value of that long just wasn't worth it, okay? So what I did was I saw this area, and this is going to be kind of hard to see on the 5-minute, but we really kind of created an M pattern here, if you will. And so I did see that. And so based on that kind of information, again, I'll look at it on the 2-minute here, and this will really kind of probably make more sense. So if I look at the 2-minute here we go, right? So we pull up, we then break down, and then we try to actually pull up again. We actually try to get above this area, 806 level, but we just can't do it, right? We're too weak. We can't get any higher. So if we can't go higher, we're actually going to go lower. And that's exactly what we did. So let's just kind of keep it on the 2-minute for a minute here. So on the 2, I noticed that we had the zone above us. I know we're at the top of the wedge on the daily. And so right here, you can see we have the 9:30 candle. And so I actually took a trade we pull up, and I took a trade around here. So 787, and I took that down to this level around 723, and just called it a day. Didn't need any more. Didn't need to make any more. Did have a runner, and so I did pretty well on this day. But why? It's not about the result. It's what I saw. Okay, so that's what I'm trying to explain here. So what I saw was we did create this M pattern, and I knew that on the higher time frames we have the wedge, and so we could potentially really break down from there. I also noted, and I don't have it on this one, but I'll draw it now so you can see it. You have this trend line right here, okay? And this goes back, like I mentioned, this was actually this morning at 1:22 a.m. But you can see that it's just this trend line, right? And so if we broke that trend line, we were probably going to break down. And that's exactly what happened. You can see that we just dropped. And so in this situation, you're not looking to chase this. You're not looking to get in around here, right? You're looking to actually take this position. I see the structure, right? I see the double top, see the M, and I see if we break this trend, I can take that. Now there's a couple things you can actually probably take on this. I'm gonna clear this really quick. Give me a second. It takes me back to the 2. All right, so this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to delete these, take this. I just don't like all the stuff on the... All right, cool. So how can I play this? All right, so we see this trend. We see that this is a pretty significant trend line that we have right here. Several touches. So if we break this, we're probably going down, right? It's probably not going to be a fake out. So what I could do is I could wait for this break. Now you can see this break was pretty large, right? All the way down to 735, 734. But look what we do in the next candle. We pull up all the way back up to 765. Now you could take a position around this level, knowing, if I kind of look on the left, this is kind of an area, right? There's a lot of action and liquidity built at this level. So you could take it there to the downside. So I could say, okay, around this level, I want to take a position, knowing that a large candle, we want to take half of that candle. I'll talk about that later, probably in a later video, in candle trading. But we filled half of this candle, and we then just broke down. And so at that point, I knew we were probably going to make our way down to a little bit further, probably to around the 670 level. Once again, I did call that out when we were around the 700 level. So again, if you can take 300 point or 30 points, 40 points on NQ using MNQs, you're going to do pretty well. You're going to make a couple hundred in a day, and that's enough, right? We don't want to be greedy. The object here is not to create more risk by staying in to trades and into the market, but actually to mitigate risk and taking less trades in the market, right? And so that's what we're thinking here. So that's kind of what I saw, and from there we broke down. And these are zones, and I want to show you how much these were respected today. So we broke below this zone you see here at 720. We then come down all the way to this 600 level and pull back up. You can see we bounced, so we can actually call this probably a supply zone at this point, right here. And then the rest of the day we just kind of chopped. Now, we call this chop, but this is a chop area or a liquidity area from 700 essentially all the way down to 600. So that's a large area. There's a lot of different trades we could take here. Something like this, for example, is a really good trend line. It's really respected. So a break of this area is probably going to break up, and then I would take it to this zone, and you can see it right here. This 670-ish level is where I would take it to. So if you took this break, and let's just say you got in at 640, You could take that 640 all the way up to 670 if you want to be conservative. And then typically I try to be more conservative than aggressive. But that's a 30-point move, right? And so that's kind of what we saw the rest of the day, kind of chopping it out here. But I just want to show you how these zones were respected. And that's why zones are so important, right? It can tell us kind of the areas that, first of all, where we want to take a trade, right? I want to enter a long in these zones, right, to the upside. And I want to enter shorts at the top of these zones to the downside. So that's kind of what we're looking at when we talk about these zones and areas. Again, I have these moving averages and so forth as well to kind of use. Once we made this larger move on the day, that I kind of knew what the move was, right? So if I look at the daily here, it's really kind of telling me that, hey, we made the larger move from the day. We're in this wedge, and the move is down, right? And so at the moment, we can see that we're actually breaking down a little bit more. I wouldn't be surprised if we actually try to move down a little bit more, probably down to this 600 level. And then if we break below that 600 or this, if we get below this 569 level, we're going to probably try to break down to 480, right? So that's another almost 100 points. Okay. So again, we're just trying to take just bits and pieces of this, but I just want to kind of explain what I'm looking for on the day. So thanks for listening and watching. Again, in the morning, I'll be posting the if strong, if weak post on kind of what we're seeing for the day. Just kind of letting that, pre-market liquidity build to kind of tell us what we're seeing, and hopefully from that we'll kind of understand what we're going to be looking at for tomorrow. But again, I would be paying attention to this move potentially down here a little bit more. So let's just see if we get that. And thanks for watching.